Chuck with Fender Guitar Amps, and you're watching GearWire.com. And we're going to talk a little bit about the new G-DEC 3. Actually, I'm not going to talk too much. I'm going to let the amp talk for itself for a second. All right, that's just some of the stuff that this G-DEC 3 will do. And if you open the box when you get home, pull the amp out, plug it in, turn your guitar up, hit go, and then that's all it did, it would be really cool. Great sounding guitar presets, great backing tracks played by the real artists doing their style of music. You heard my band there, you heard Gary Hoey, you heard Greg Koch. If you like heavy metal, Sepultura's in there. If you like Eric Johnson, for instance, Eric Johnson did a guitar tone, he did a loop, you hit go, now you're playing with Eric Johnson's band. So if that's all the amp did, that'd be pretty cool. Well, this amp also has SD card capability. You go buy, say, a 2 gig card for 10 bucks. It'll hold about 3 hours of CD quality music. If you want to play with the Beatles or Jimi Hendrix, you record it onto your SD card, put it in the amp, hit go, and now you're playing with them. If you want to reconfigure your amp any way that you might like, you've got a bunch of cool presets. You've got a set list of 100 songs, whatever it is. You put it on the SD card, and you're good to go. You take the SD card out of the amp, stick it in your pocket, go to your friend's house, who, of course, has a G-DEC 3, plug it in, and now you're back to your amp. It's all right there. We also, when you open the box, you get a USB cable, and you hook that to your laptop. And we include in the package a DVD-ROM that has different software applications. It has an instructional video. It has the Fender Fuse software, which is what we're looking at right here. It has an 8-track version of Ableton Live home recording, and it has Fender's version of IK Multimedia Amplitude, which is basically like having a studio full of amps, effects, microphones, speakers, cabinets. You can reconfigure it any way you want, record it all onto Ableton Live. It's pretty cool. Okay, we're going to talk about the Fender Fuse. Now on the amp itself, as you can see on this screen, I can go over here and I can do a few preset changes. I can change the amp I want. I can actually go in and change like the volume or the gain. I can mess around with the effects a little bit. It doesn't go too deep on the amp itself, but when you hook it up to your laptop and you use the Fender Fuse, now you can go into deep editing. And basically this is like having a floor full of stomp boxes, a rack full of gear, a bunch of amps and cables. You stick it all together and start turning knobs. I'll show you what it does. I mentioned that I put a guitar tone in here. Well, let's find that. C Hall Overdrive, that's my tone. Now watch, I'm gonna hit the guitar tone preset. So it's changed to that. It changed the amp. It also changed to the track that it was meant to be used with, and it changed over here on the amp as well. So it's all connected. Now we just hit go. Okay, as you can see, it's got a stomp box and a reverb. Well, the stomp box is in front of the amp. The reverb is in the effects loop, basically. I want to try a little delay on this patch. Let's stick a delay in front of the amp over here. Aha, there it is. And let's go and, all right, let's put it up just so you can really hear it. Now we got some delay on it, but I didn't like the way that sounded actually. So I'm going to take that off. I'm going to go over here and put the delay into the effects loop. And I want to change the delay time on it. Now it's going to sound a lot different because it's in a different part of the amp. Yeah, very cool. So you've got all those editing capabilities. You can change your amp settings, et cetera, et cetera. Now, after you've done all this, you're going to forget a lot of things, so we gave you a library in which to store all this information and access it as well. So you come here, here's everything that's on the amp. And if you had made any changes, you made any comments, you put your own loops in there, whatever, it's all right here. If there's anything on the computer, it's right here. If there's anything on your SD card, we have a couple of tunes on that SD card. It's all right here, which is pretty cool. Now, let's say you just came up with a great set of presets. You recorded a couple of killer loops and you want to brag about it to the rest of the world. You come down here and you hit community. Now you're on the internet. And it just happens to be the Fender website, the G-DEC forum right there. And now, let's see, we released this Thursday, and the public doesn't have any in their hands yet, but they're already starting to comment about it. They've seen some YouTube videos, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, you're live. You're with the world now. So it's kind of like you open the box up, the amp sounds great, it's fun to play with all the tracks, and stuff just keeps coming out of the box. It's amazing.
It's important to note that as you modify this software here, you can play through the amp and audition all the presets as you're modifying it.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Was this program also developed in conjunction with IK Multimedia, do you know?
No, the Fender Fuse is us. We just include Amplitude and the Ableton Live. They actually were glad to put it on there. And you get that disc in the box. It's included. Number one, these are real backing tracks. Real artists playing their style of music. It's not MIDI. It's not a synthesizer. It's the real deal. All the connectivity, the USB capabilities, and the software that we give you, the fact that you can go right to the internet, and just the guitar tones alone are so much better.